Morning everyone, this is Allison from Thriving While Disabled, and I just wanted to pop on and talk to you quickly about something I've been thinking about, and also I heard a story yesterday that made me decide that it needed to be discussed. So, I have functional neurological disorder, and I'm involved in a group that's full of people who also share that diagnosis. And one of the problems that we have if we ever go to the hospital is whatever's going on gets dismissed as being all in our head or made up. FND is a neurological condition, not a psychiatric one, as I've mentioned, but a lot of doctors still haven't put that together. And especially doctors in emergency rooms who are trained to make very quick judgments on most information that they receive. Not only do the doctors not always recognize it, but also staff. So for people with FND and people with mental health conditions in general, there's an extra step in going to any kind of emergency room or emergency setting, which is to convince people that we actually have what we say we have, and it's not our normal symptoms or conditions. Other groups that face bias are racial minorities, and there's a lot of us that face different kinds of biases. Hi, Suso. I hope I pronounced that right. But there's a lot of misunderstandings that happen, and there's a lot of times doctors dismiss patients even when they've got symptoms. In this case, it was a woman who went to her doctor because she was concerned that she might have contracted COVID-19. She was having breathing problems. And the doctor sent her to the local emergency room because that's what needed to happen. They needed to examine her further and see if she needed to go to the ICU. Unfortunately, the doctor at the ER saw that she had FND and was like, oh, it's all... she has a functional condition, it's all in her head. And despite the fact that she was struggling to breathe, which made it very challenging for her to speak as well, the doctors there just dismissed her and sent her home. So that was pretty scary for her, and she should have been tested, and if necessary, she should have been admitted. She should not have been sent home. The big question is, well, what can we do about it? Well, one thing that we can do is, if we know we have something that's likely to be misunderstood or that will make it difficult for us to communicate, we need to have another way to have it communicated. Right now, a lot of places aren't allowing spouses, partners, family members to come with us to the hospital because of COVID-19. And again, it's frustrating, but it's an understandable thing. So what we need to do is have other ways to communicate that. One thought I immediately had was, if you're seeing your doctor and your doctor wants you to go in, have your doctor write a note, on their letterhead saying, this is what I'm concerned about, this is why I am concerned. Please focus on this, and have it be something that you can physically give to the doctors at the hospital, so they can understand that it's not just you worrying. You have a medical opinion behind you. If you're coming from home and it's possible, talk to your doctor ahead of time and see if they can send a message ahead, or in other ways reach out to affirm that you're being sent in there for really good reason. It's unfortunate we have to do this, but I'd hate to have anybody go through all of the potential exposure that's involved in going to a hospital and not get the care they need. another thing can potentially do also is, again, write a note yourself stating this is not normal. This is not how my condition behaves. And or have your phone with you and express you've got a medical proxy who you want to speak with them, and have that be your partner or spouse or family member who helps with your medical care, so that somebody who can speak clearly or who isn't right there in presumably a panic can affirm, yes, we're concerned, yes, this is why, no, this isn't made up. What I'm saying is make sure that you've got somebody who has your back. And that way you've got a better chance of being seen, of being treated, of being respected. And it is really, really sad that we have to go to this kind of length when other people don't. But the fact of the matter is, there is bias. That's been proven. And the side thing is, with COVID-19, any major emergency or pandemic, people have to make judgment calls all the time. And the more tired people are, the more likely they are to make mistakes. I'm not just talking about physically tired, though that also is a problem, but also emotionally tired. Think about what people in the hospitals are going through right now, of watching patients die, of being overwhelmed, of not having the equipment they need, all of these major challenges going on. And they have to evaluate and triage every person who walks into the ER. It's not fair, but it is understandable that they're going to make mistakes. And unfortunately, people tend to make mistakes that follow their bias. And bias being what it is, there's bias against people based on race. There's bias against people based on perceived disability. There's bias against people based on mental health diagnoses or the appearance of having a mental health issue. So what can we do? Protect ourselves the best we can. Don't go to the hospital or the emergency room unless you need to, of course. But also make sure that if you do go, you've got as much of a backup plan as possible, and you've got as much support as possible, and know that you can't depend on a person's physical presence, because that might not be an option. Sorry to be a little grim today, but I want to protect people, and I want to make sure that my viewers are safe. I want to make sure that everybody is as safe as possible. So please, folks, if you are managing a disability and need to go to the hospital, be extra cautious, be extra vigilant, and have as much backup as possible, knowing that you're probably not going to have company while you're actually in the hospital. All right. Thanks so much. Everybody take care and keep thriving.